Okay, you ready, love?
Yep, I'm ready.
Let's go. Episode 4. Welcome back, you guys, to episode number 4 of the One Day Podcast. I feel like we've been doing this for a lot longer than what it
It
feels
seems like it,
it's.
right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's just episode 4.
Right. Yeah, it's weird. It seems like we have been doing it for a while, but it's really only the fourth episode.
It does, yeah. But today's topic is a pretty. I feel like this is something that has been a lot more popular within the past few years. I know it's definitely something
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of taught you about. Would you
For
agree?
sure. I had no clue what this was until you brought it up and you showed me how to do it. So,
So today we're going to be talking all about love languages,
mm-hmm.
which I'm sure a lot of you guys would have heard about this before. I think the way that I found out about love languages was as a teenager. My mum actually introduced me to the book.
Hmm.
And you know how it is, like you're a teen, you think you know everything there is to know. So when my mum
Right.
like told me about this book, I was like, I ain't about to read that. Like, what are you talking about? But I think as I got older, I definitely came to appreciate the lessons that she was trying to teach me by showing me like what that book was about. So if you guys don't know, the Love Languages is actually a book that was published by Gary Chapman, an author Gary
Mm-hmm.
Chapman, back in '95. So it's been around for a minute.
Wow, it's been a while.
Yeah. So if you don't know, like just to start off with, like what is a love language? It's basically the primary way that we give and receive love to ourselves, to others, to those around us, and generally like we do express all the love languages, I believe.
Yeah, I do too.
But I do believe that there is some type of primary love language that we naturally gravitate towards and that
Mm-hmm.
we naturally want to express and have expressed to us on the regular. So, yeah, a love language generally describes the way that we feel the most loved and appreciated by our
Mm-hmm.
partner. That is what we're going to be talking about today, love languages. We're pretty much just going to be going through each one and I guess also kind of sharing how we like what our own love languages are and also
Right.
how they can, like always in every episode, we always relate this back to regular relationships and long
Mm-hmm.
distance because there are a couple of factors when it comes to being in a long distance relationship that cause you to miss out on certain parts of love languages, which we
Tons of factors.
definitely,
On
yeah,
my
we'll
end,
definitely
there's
discuss that.
that big of a factor. So,
Yes.
yeah.
So, to start things off, the 5 love languages. Do you know what they are, my love?
Yep.
Go on.
I don't
Tell
memorize
us.
them.
Do you
Well,
know?
for sure, the first one I can remember is words of affirmation
How do you remember that one? Tell us.
because that's my fiance's love language.
Yes, it
You know,
is.
I had to learn the hard way, but that's definitely hers.
Yeah, that is my love
Mm-hmm.
language. So there are words of affirmation,
Mm-hmm.
acts of service, physical touch,
Yep.
gift giving, receiving,
Quality time.
quality time.
Yep.
Yeah. Was that 5? Yeah, that was 5.
Yeah, I think so.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the 5 love languages. And the reason why I personally believe that it's important and the way that I definitely explained it to you
Mm-hmm.
as to why I think it's important to know your partner's love language, even to know your own love language, I believe
For
it is
sure.
important, is because naturally when you get into a relationship, you may not necessarily have the same love language as your partner. Not everybody is the same. Everybody has different outlooks on life. They've been brought up differently. So naturally, you may not have the same love language as your partner.
Right.
And I believe that it is important to know what your own is and what your partner's is because it
Mm-hmm.
definitely takes the guesswork out of like knowing what your own wants and needs are and what your partner's wants and needs are.
Right. And then, like you said, it takes out the guesswork of showing how to love them and showing your appreciation
Yes.
towards them. So, and yeah, it's really important for me because, like, again, I didn't know nothing about it in the beginning, and as I learn from you and read more about it, it totally makes sense. You remind me all the time, and I get reminded. I'm like, oh, you know what? That is my love language. And sometimes I slip to my, like, mine is quality time. And actually, recently, I did it again, and it changed to physical touch. So those are the like two heaviest ones for me, and it makes sense. Like sometimes I just want quality time, and that's something that I want. And I'm like, why? I'm giving her quality time, and I forget that hers is word the affirmation. So
Yeah. Yeah. So it definitely does take like the guesswork out of trying to figure out like, okay, why does my partner not feel loved even though I'm giving them this quality time?
right,
But in reality, like I want to hear how you feel. So I may
yeah,
not feel like fulfilled if you are giving me all of that quality time. So I also do believe that it helps to create a stronger bond between the two of you, like in
it
your
does
relationship. And it also, like, knowing your partner's love language and your own love language definitely helps with conflict resolution.
for sure.
Yeah. Because obviously, we all have our own ways of expressing our emotions and our feelings. And yeah, I definitely feel like it really helps with all aspects of the relationship to know what each other's love language is. So I guess if you're wondering, like, how to find out what your love language is, you can Google it, like just
hmm
Google love languages. There's a specific website that provides a quiz, which takes like 5 minutes.
I did. I literally took mine just right
Yeah,
before we did this, and I finished it real quick.
exactly. Or, of course, there is the book by Gary Chapman, The Five Love Languages, that you can read, which will take you into a more in-depth reading of what exactly they are and the meanings behind them, etc. But yeah, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, we'll link all of that down below in the description box, or you can, of course, search that up on Google. But just to quickly go into what our own love languages are, you mentioned that yours was physical touch and quality time,
And
right?
quality time. Yeah, those are the things that I weigh heavy on in our relationship. For me, it's more like, you know, the reason why I feel like it's not where's the affirmation is like, well, I want you to show me, then just tell me. Like
Yeah.
to me, I guess that's how it works in my brain, or how it functions, how I function, and how I take in love. It's like, well, if you love me, you'll show me, instead of just because like telling me, to me, it's like talk is cheap. But I didn't realize, getting into words of affirmation, it reassures your partner. It makes them
Yes.
feel
Yeah.
better. It makes them feel like, okay, well, you know what? It is good to hear that you love them once in a while. Actually, more than once in a while. So
Just once in a while.
I know, right?
But like
But
we
yeah.
said earlier, it definitely, like we all have our own different ways of expressing our thoughts and emotions and feelings. And that's why for you, like, of course, I'm sure you do appreciate words of affirmation. You do
For
appreciate
sure.
hearing love and encouragement, all of that good stuff. But you definitely do place an emphasis on quality time. I know
I
that for
do.
sure. You definitely do put a lot of time and effort when it
Yeah.
comes to quality time.
I mean, now that we're apart and we've been apart over a year, for me, it's more like I just want to be around her as much as I can. For this whole time, it's like, what can we watch? What can we do? We work out together. We cook together. We have date nights. And sometimes it's more like she doesn't really know, but it's date night for me in my mind. Just
Yeah.
spending time with her is amazing for me. Like, I just want to spend my time with her, because I've been doing things alone for so long. So it's like, no, I finally found someone to do stuff with. So to me, that's
Yeah.
important to me.
Yeah. And I know for a lot of people who aren't in a long distance relationship, they may think like, well, how are you, like, what are you talking about spending quality time? You guys aren't even together.
Right.
But I think where there's a will, there's a way.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to find a way of how to spend quality time together and enjoy it, I mean, we are so lucky and blessed that we live in a society where technology is abundant. Like, we have so much
Right.
access when it comes to FaceTime, phone calls, all of that. Like, we're very lucky. Like, if we were doing this like
Oh my
20, 30
God.
years ago, it
I
would be a
can't
whole different
imagine.
story.
We would like send pigeons
For
or
real. You'd have
or
to
buy
really get with
phone
your words
cards.
of affirmation
Exactly.
and write me some letters.
You're right. Send you photos. Like you won't even get the photo
Right.
till everything's instant nowadays. So
It is, yeah.
texting, FaceTime, all that stuff. I can't imagine even buying phone cards were super expensive. I remember, I'm not a spring chicken, so like back then we would call. My father actually lived in a different country. We would call him, and we would buy phone cards all the time, and it gets really expensive.
It does,
So
yeah.
thank God for remember that first time you showed me FaceTime audio?
Yes, it was the first time we ever spoke on the phone.
I was like, holy
And I
crap.
called you and you were like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to hang up because it's going to
It's
be really
long
expensive."
distance.
I was like, "Come on now. Like this is FaceTime audio."
Oh, I never used it before. So I was
Yeah.
so surprised. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this can work.
Yeah,
We
for
have a
real.
chance.
Hmm.
So it was great knowing that there's FaceTime audio and I'm not, well, I have unlimited, but I just can't take any international calls or I don't want to pay for it.
True.
It's expensive. But
Yeah.
the fact that we have FaceTime audio is like a lifesaver.
It is very
Hmm.
much so. So I think, yeah, like I said, we're very lucky and blessed that we live in this
Right.
time and in this season where it is easy. Not to say that it's easy being in a long distance relationship. There, it does have its own hardships and
For
struggles,
sure.
but it is a lot more easier than it was, say,
Hmm.
10, 20, 30 years ago. So, yeah, like you were
Absolutely.
saying, yeah, like you were saying, your love languages, like your top two,
Hmm.
are physical touch and quality time. So how
Right.
does physical touch come into play since I mean, how long has it been
That's
since we haven't seen each other?
It's been a year, so that's
Yeah.
the toughest part for me is not just not able to hold her, to give her a hug, to kiss her, just to even walk down the street and hold her hand. Those are the things I miss. So for
Yeah.
me, the how I deal with it is those are the things I look forward to. And we spend time together, and I'm like, it gives me, like I told you this before. I go by a lot of experiences, all my memories. It's like
Yeah, I
I
was about to say
remember
that.
how it feels when we were in Bali. I remember how it feels when I first, visited you in Australia or the first time you came here. So I still remember those moments, how it feels. Sometimes I know how it smells. So like
Mm,
for me, I look forward to those things. So I could kind of last for a long time for not having physical touch, but I
yeah.
know that the end goal is going to be there, and this is like the most patient anyone could ever be, not having any physical touch, but
Yeah.
looking forward and knowing what I want in the future is there,
Mm,
and then we're working towards is what I look forward to. So that's how I deal
yeah.
with it.
I think a lot of the time, say for example, if I am out like
Hmm.
running errands or just out of the house doing my own thing, and if we're on the phone together, I can really tell when you genuinely miss that. Like you'll say to me, "Oh, I
I
wish I was
do.
there with you. Like I wish I could be at the mall with you. I wish I could
Hmm.
go for a walk with you. I wish I could." So I can really tell like when you feel like you're really missing that
Hmm.
aspect, and it is hard, but unfortunately, it's just what we have to deal with at this point in time.
Hmm.
And I think, questions that I often get are like, "How do you deal with it?" You just do. I mean, I've said this before in a previous episode, but when okay, when you find a job, right, that
Hmm.
you love, you do it and you don't feel like it's work. And
Right.
that's the same with this relationship. It's like I do what I have to do, and it's not something that I have to struggle through and think about like, "Oh my god, like another day.
Hmm.
Oh, it's so hard, it's so difficult." Like I think about what I have to be grateful for in this relationship with you, and I just know that we've got so much more
So
in the
much more.
future to look forward to. And I think all the times that we have spent together physically, when we could fly to see each other and whatnot and actually
Hmm.
spend quality time physically together, that definitely was like a taste, and it gives me
Right.
hope for what what we have to look forward to,
Hmm.
So I think it is in some sense like all about holding on to the memories and having something to look forward to.
Right.
So you know?
I mean, do you remember when, before we even met up in 2019, we actually wrote a list, like a bucket list on
We did.
where we wanted to go and what we want to do.
Yeah.
And
That was
again,
before
those
we
are
met.
right. So those are the things that I look forward to. And I still tell you, like, once we live together, there's going to be so much more that you're going to be experiencing that is like that's going to be new to us. So
Yeah, you do always say that. Like, this is only just the beginning. And
beginning,
it's not
yeah,
even like it's the beginning of the beginning. Like,
right,
it's crazy how
exactly.
much more we have to experience together.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, in terms of, like, let me just quickly talk about my love
Mm-hmm.
languages because now we know that yours are quality time and physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how do you rank the other ones, though? What were
The
your
other
how
ones
did
were
you?
like, I think it was like 17% each. The others are in the 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think gift giving um, is 0 for me.
Mm.
I'm not. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last the other episodes, but I know for me, for I've been independent and I've been doing my own thing for over like decades. Like since actually I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I had a job, so I've had tons of jobs. I've always relied on myself on making money or giving myself whatever I needed or whatever I wanted. I was
Mm-hmm.
able to just go get whatever I wanted because I worked for it, and everything else that anyone give me is just like a plus. Like when you first gave me
Yeah.
my first gift, I was like, damn, I can't believe she spent this much money on me. So again, it's nice, but I don't rely on gift giving because I know I got myself, and if I wanted something, if I want to give something, I rather give actually more than receive. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
exactly the same as you in that sense. Like, gift giving
yeah,
for me is 0%. And of course, I appreciate when I receive
mm-hmm.
gifts, but to me, it's not something that I need for somebody to show me love and appreciation. Does
Right.
that make sense?
I
Like,
mean,
I
it's
definitely,
nice.
it is
Yeah.
nice, and I definitely appreciate when you put thought into something and you
Mm-hmm.
surprise me with a gift or you send me a gift. I definitely appreciate it,
Right.
but it's not something that I rank highly in my mind as to, like, oh damn, like he really loves me because he got me this, because he bought me
Right.
this. Like, I would rather have that shown to me in other ways. Like I've
Mm-hmm.
mentioned many times, words of affirmation is my top ranking love language
Right.
because naturally that's how I like to show love to myself as well. I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely big on writing, reading, empowering myself with words, like to myself. That's just how I naturally am. And to have a partner show that to me, that's definitely what I hold a lot of value in.
Mm-hmm.
But in saying that, I like with the other love languages as well, like quality time, acts of service,
Mm-hmm.
and what's the other one, love?
Acts of
Quality time, acts
service,
of
quality
service,
time,
and
physical touch, gift
physical
giving.
touch.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So those three are all the same, which I was
Yeah.
quite surprised as like words of affirmation is like right
Mm-hmm.
at the top, and then quality time, acts of service, and
Physical touch.
physical touch
Yeah.
are all aligned. Like they all have the same
They
percentage. It's
do.
like 23% or something.
Yeah, you showed it to me. I remember.
Yeah, and I definitely do hold a lot of value in quality time, of course. I love that. Physical touch, yes, I love that too. Acts of service, yes, I love that. So that's what I was saying in the beginning is that I do believe that we do all showcase and have all the qualities of every love language,
Mm-hmm.
but naturally there generally is like a primary one that we gravitate to
Yeah.
on the regular and that we want to receive on the regular. So that's just a little bit about like our dynamic and our love languages and how they work with one another. Like Alan mentioned in the beginning, he had no idea what even is a love language, like
No.
what is this love language thing that you're talking about. So I definitely had to help him learn about what it was and kind of explain it all to him.
For sure.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like it's helped our relationship,
A
especially being
lot.
long
I mean,
distance.
honestly, that it set the tone, and
Mm,
also for me, it helped me open up and express how I feel. Because remember,
yes.
I didn't really know how to express how I feel when you asked me, hey, how do you, like, something happened, whether good or bad, or just something normal, you would still ask me how I feel. And I never
Yeah.
really get to express that or even like vocalize that to anyone. I'm like, I just kept that inside me. So,
Yeah.
words of affirmation really helped me like open up to you.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily that, you completely understand
Mm-hmm.
that. Because I know at times you may think, like, why do you need to hear this? Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
showing you something by spending quality time with you. But I think it is important to recognize what your partner's love language is. So then you can learn how to show them love. Because,
Right.
like we mentioned earlier, you may be doing one thing that is your own personal love language, and to you that's the way that you're showing love and you're
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling their wants and needs, when in reality that's just how you naturally show love. And to them, they're like, oh, they're
Right.
not even like telling me that they love me today, or you know what I mean. So that's why I feel like it's very important to know what your partner's love language is, know what your own love language
Mm-hmm.
is, and learn how to cater to that.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
So let's just go into like each love language,
Mm-hmm.
what they are, how to show them, and also like how to deal with them when it comes to like conflict resolution and how to like avoid certain like
Right.
negative things from occurring. So, what one do you want to cover first?
So the first one that popped in mind is yours, is words of
Okay.
affirmation. I
Yeah.
think thinking about that alone, one thing, there's a list of stuff that things that you can do. And one
Mm.
thing I naturally do, and I didn't notice I do,
Mm.
is I give you compliments.
Yes, you do. You're
Um,
very good at that.
I didn't realize I did that until I read all this stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, I naturally do that towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? It's, to me, obviously, if you look at her, it's so easy to do. So
Oh,
when
thank
I
you,
wake
love.
up or when she dresses up or when she puts something nice, I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's just so easy for me to like say something nice to her because, I mean, look at her. So
Aw,
it's
thank
just
you.
so easy, yeah. So that's one thing that popped in mind as soon as like I read
Compliments.
all the list, yeah.
And that's like such a tiny thing.
It
But
is.
a little thing like that can really be a big thing to your partner, and it
It
will make them feel
does,
special, make them feel good, help boost their confidence and self esteem.
for sure.
But yeah, so that's like a very small thing that a lot of people would think is like insignificant. But something as simple as that is just the beginning of even catering to your
Hmm.
partner's love language. So,
Yeah, you appreciate their looks, and they feel good. Like the other day, or every time I cut my hair, you're like, "Damn, that's my man," or I'm like, "Really? I just
I'm
cut
like
my
the
hair."
biggest hype fiance. Like anything you do, I'm like cheering. That's
And
just
no,
how I
I've
am.
never. I'm really bad at taking compliments, and you
Yeah,
know
I
this.
remember in the beginning
So
you were kind of
I'm very
uncomfortable.
super uncomfortable
Mm.
getting compliments. Like and growing up, and not to like blow smoke up my, people gave me compliments over, growing up, and I still
Hmm.
didn't know how to take it, to be honest. So when
Yeah.
it came to you, and I'm like, damn, this, especially in the beginning, I'm like, this is a really pretty girl giving me compliments. I didn't know how to take it. Naturally,
Oh.
my shyness like it just comes out, and then I get really like
Yeah.
really shy. I'm like, really, like
Mm.
me, you know?
That's the thing about you. I feel like you're very, like, you're naturally very charming and you're very easy to talk to, and you definitely exude this confidence about you.
I don't know
But
about
when
that.
you get made aware of that,
Yeah.
you get really shy. And that's
Uh,
definitely like what happened in the beginning. Like, whenever I would give you compliments or like hype you up, because hello, words of affirmation, that's what I do out here,
right.
you're just like, nah, like you would have such a hard time accepting that,
I
which
do.
is totally normal. Like a lot of people have difficulty accepting compliments, but for me, that's a way that I like to show love. So,
Yeah.
yeah, compliments.
But
And
it,
it's
it
not just
helps
external, it's also on the inside as well. I would
for
even
sure.
compliment that I love the way your mind is, the
Hmm.
way that you are like as a person. So it's not just like
No,
exterior
it goes a
looks.
long way. Like you said, like little, it could be that small, but it makes
Mm,
a person's day. Like if
yeah.
you just go around and just look at anyone and just see what you like about them, whether it's their shoes, their hair, how they laugh, how they smile, anything. Trust me, you would make anyone's day just giving them a small little compliment.
Yeah, yeah. So another thing with words of affirmation, what comes to mind for me is naturally like words, obviously, whether that be like through texts, through
Hmm.
letters.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You already know.
For sure.
Yeah, and I just think like what I appreciate is lots of encouragement, lots of appreciation and gratitude, and
Hmm.
also like listening and engaging as
Yep.
well. Because it's one thing to just like dish out all these stuff, but if your partner's trying to talk with you and you're not fully present in that
Hmm.
conversation, you're not listening, you're not engaging, then they might start to feel like they're not being appreciated in that
Right.
moment. So, yeah, for us, it's, well, for me, rather, I should say, it's definitely all about like the little things and being long distance, you know, like the sweet text, the phone calls,
Hmm.
the letters, like that kind of thing. So I definitely do appreciate those in the sense of words of affirmation. But when it comes to conflict resolution, what do you think is the one thing that comes to mind for us, knowing that you're with someone whose love language is words of affirmation? What's the first thing that would come to mind?
Just reassurance. I think to
Yeah.
me that jumps out.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing that we're in a long distance relationship, it's sometimes those things creep up in anyone's mind, so just reassuring your partner that you're there for them,
Mm-hmm.
they're your number one, and making sure that you love them and you're there for them all the time. So
Yeah.
that's
I
something that jumps
definitely,
out.
yeah, for sure. I definitely think it's also important naturally to talk it out. I know some
Mm,
people and some couples sometimes, and it works differently. Like every couple has a different dynamic. But
right.
I think for us, we talk things out because that's naturally what I gravitate towards. Whereas the next couple may need time to cool down and or they'll just leave it and it just won't be brought up again, which is completely normal. Everybody has a different dynamic in
Mm-hmm.
their relationship. But for us, I think yes, because I am a very mental person and
Mm-hmm.
I hold a lot of value within your words. I've said this before. I don't care what anybody says to me,
Yep.
but whatever you say to me, I do really take that into account and I do hold it very personally.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think it is important for my love language being words of affirmation is to talk things out and to also try and avoid like negative, unconstructive criticism.
Mm, right.
Because yeah, when you're with someone who holds words so highly and of that value, if you're, it's so funny because I'm just thinking about what we spoke about last podcast and the
Mm-hmm.
whole like how I didn't want us to like play games
Exactly.
and tease each other and call each other names, even if
Right.
we're just joking. And that's because my love language is words of affirmation, and that's
Mm-hmm.
like what I hold in high regard. So,
Well, you
yeah,
want
those are,
you want the opposite of compliment. you know, you don't want anyone
yeah.
calling you you're stupid, you're an idiot. Like
No, yeah. Yeah.
so that's exactly why that's why you shouldn't say those things. And like you said, we set the tone since the beginning to not do that. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, one thing before we move on to the next one thing that popped into my mind was, in a way, since we are in long distance and
Mm,
we have to talk things out, whether something happens or
yeah.
we're kind of forced to do that. And normally
Yeah.
for me, if we were together in the
Mm.
same place, it's easy for me to naturally just hug you and say everything's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Let's focus on this. But
Mm.
since we're forced to talk it out first and we had no choice, I think once we get together, it's going to be even better. Just
Yeah,
because we
because
can talk it out and
sometimes,
hug it out, we could.
exactly.
So it's so much better than just like the physical touch. We can
Yeah.
actually you're as much as you're mental, I am too. And for me, I'm very logic, so I know things don't last
Mm-hmm.
and nothing's permanent. So
Yeah.
it for us, we talk it out until we get each other's sides, and whether there's differences or we see the same thing, at least we get to see everything. We talk it out till we resolve anything. So I think
That's
it
true.
helps.
Yeah, that's definitely something that we miss out on in our relationship
Mm-hmm.
is, you know, if we ever do get into a disagreement and we've talked it out. Sometimes there's that little awkward period at the end of the discussion where it's like, naturally, okay, if we were in person, we would hug and then it would be
Right.
all sweet. But because we can't do that, it's like, okay, so we good? Like,
Are you still mad? Or are you good?
right, yeah. So I think, like, let's move on to physical touch because
Mm-hmm.
that's yours.
Right.
Obviously, physical touch, the first thing is that to somebody who holds that as their love language, they
Mm-hmm.
would need physical touch or they would want or need it to make them feel loved and appreciated.
Right.
So I think that's not just, I think people automatically think like, oh, physical touch, they just want sex all the time or they just want like,
Exactly.
but it's also, well, that's great. We
Mm-hmm.
do appreciate that. We love and appreciate that. I think it's not just like in the bedroom having sex. It also comes down to non-sexual touch, like even just like hugging, holding
Yep.
hands,
Mm-hmm.
even physical presence, like being in their physical presence as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't realize until we got together. I'm like, wow, okay, I really do like holding hands because, like, even when it was not like when we first met, it was kind of natural for me to just hold your hand.
I know. We walked
You
out of
know,
that airport like as if we were like a
like
couple. Oh my gosh, do you know what I just remembered? Do you
what
remember when we
happened?
got into the cab and
Mm-hmm.
the driver was like, "Oh, so how long have you guys been together?" And we made up a story that we just got married. Do you
Yeah,
remember this?
I
And we
don't.
had said,
You can.
"You
I said, yeah,
you
I
don't,
don't.
how do you not
No,
remember
I
this,
forgot.
love?" Oh my goodness. We made up this
Remind
story
me.
that we were like together and that this was our honeymoon. You don't remember this?
Oh, okay, I remember now. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I was
I
like, damn,
remember
I
that
can't be
part.
out here looking like I'm
I
making this
remember
up.
that part. The honeymoon part, I remember.
Yes. So like that just goes to show us it was so natural for us when we met for the very first time
Mm-hmm.
in Bali in the airport. We walked out of there like as if we were a couple of like a few years, to be
Right.
honest. It felt so natural and yeah, I think for us both, yeah, that's definitely when you probably realize like, oh, I really do like physical touch. And I know it's not for everybody. Not everybody is into that, which is totally
Right.
fine and
It's
normal. But
fine.
for myself, I do love holding hands. I love
Mm-hmm.
when you hug me, like when you kiss me. Oh my God, I'm about to get real corny.
And little things. I mean, when you rub my back, when you
Yes.
give. Oh, one thing she does really well, which I'm so surprised that this is something she actually loves doing for me, is back rubs or massages.
Yeah.
Right? You tell me, and I'm very surprised. I'm like, really, you really like that? You really like doing that to me? I'm like, perfect, because I,
It's like satisfying for me. It's
for
like
sure.
a,
Well, for
I
me,
don't
for
know how to
sure.
describe it. Yeah, I just
I don't
enjoy
know.
giving you. I think it's that kind of comes into acts of service because I like making you feel good,
Okay.
and
So
catering
acts
to
of
you.
service, and then I get the physical touch. So that's
Right.
great. Well, for me,
Yes.
I suffer from having scoliosis. Like, and I think whether I had like a really bad back or a lower back, I had like I sound like an old, like washed out athlete.
Sheesh.
I got like an old football injury in high school. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got rocked one time. I was like intercepted a pass, and this
Aw.
big lineman just like crushed my back. And after that, my back's been hurting even till now. Like if I sit for a while, or I play basketball, or I do anything, physical, any kind of physical activity, my back started to go. And for her to like just offer, oh, do you want a back rub? I'm like, are you really offering me that right
I
now? I'm like,
remember you
hell
were so
yeah,
shocked. You were like, "You don't have
yeah,
to do this," and I'm like, "But I want to. Like, I like giving you massages," and you're like, "Oh my God,
right.
I hit the jackpot."
Well, that, and I mean, I like giving massages too. So like, we were in Bali, and I get you fell asleep when
I
I was
did,
giving you a
yeah,
massage.
yeah.
So physical touch, receiving and then giving too. Like I love giving you back rubs too, and massages. So
Yeah. So I think naturally for somebody who wants to be shown physical touch, you obviously would make that a priority. In our long distance relationship, I mean,
yeah,
yeah. For us, I think something that I've noticed with you, or for both of us actually, that
hmm,
we really appreciate is that, do you remember when I gave you the little perfume?
oh yeah,
Mm.
I remember.
Or before you left here, you
Hmm.
sprayed that hoodie.
Right.
And I, this is gonna sound so like, But to be honest, yeah, like smelling sounds so funny, but like smelling your partner's scent
Hmm.
definitely does bring back a certain feeling and emotion.
For sure.
And yeah, for us, like when you sent me a letter recently, you sprayed it with your cologne, and oh
Hmm.
my gosh, I just felt like so happy like from that. And I know it's not exactly physical touch,
Hmm.
but in some sense, it does provide somewhat of an aspect of that because that's your partner's scent. That's how you recognize them.
Yeah,
That's the like the pheromone that they give off, or
for
that's
sure.
what we like. If I had was in a room with closed eyes and I smelled that scent,
Right.
I instantly get reminded of you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
With yours, you gave me a small little bottle of your perfume,
Hmm.
and every single time I go and smell it, I gave it to my daughter, so she wears it,
She loves
and
it. It's so
she
cute.
loves it. So when I smell the scent, it brings me right back to the first time I hugged you in Bali. As soon
Oh,
as I tapped your
yeah.
shoulder and gave you a hug, that's the first scent I could recognize. So every time I smell that, I'm like, I just feel like I'm back in Bali, in like a first
Mm,
time meeting. So,
yeah. Conflict resolution wise, or like
mm,
things to avoid. Well, naturally, like you said, if we have a disagreement, the first thing you naturally want to do is hug me,
mm-hmm,
and you can't do that being long distance. But
right. I gotta hug you
yeah,
with my words,
for
you know,
real.
for real. That's what we have to do.
Yeah, so I think yeah, conflict resolution wise, that's what I could think of is
Mm-hmm,
sometimes we don't need a whole bunch of words. We just need that physical connection where we hug them and it lets them know that we're there and that we're present and that we're here for them. And that instantly makes them feel like loved
mm-hmm,
and special and like everything is like okay. So,
right.
yeah, I definitely feel that in a long distance. I mean, it's hard. You just got to go smell my perfume and then.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's other things that reminds me of you. So, but like
Mm.
that's like the easiest one. As soon as I smell it, it just brings me back. I'm like, wow, she smells so good. Like I could
Mm.
smell it. You know.
Yeah. So, moving on to let's do acts of service.
Okay.
You said this earlier, and you've said this many times. Talk is cheap, actions speak louder than words.
For sure.
Right? That's definitely what you hold in
Mm-hmm.
high regard. So, yeah, naturally for somebody whose love language is acts of service, for them, like I said, actions speak louder than words. So, how to express that? I would say if you do like random little acts of service, like filling up their car with gas,
Mm.
running errands for them, doing the laundry, washing the
Mm-hmm.
dishes,
Make them coffee in the
cleaning,
morning.
yeah, making them
Like
coffee.
cleaning. If I clean for you, it's like you're there for
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yep, it's
She
a wrap.
loves cleaning. She loves
Yeah,
being
fun
neat and tidy.
fact.
So
I'm definitely like a clear space is a clear mind. I love cleaning because it's very therapeutic to me. So, yeah,
that's
anything
like
if
shopping for me, but yours is
right,
cleaning.
mine's cleaning. Yeah. So, if Alan were to do that for me, like were to clean up, I'm like, "Oh my God, man of my dreams."
I
Like
don't
that's
think that
something
you're like the first one I've met that's like that
really.
really loves cleanliness. Like not to like in that sense. To me, that's not even weird. But
Mm,
the fact that you love it,
I
I love
do.
it even more because I don't know anyone like that. So.
I always say like I always say to you like, "Oh my gosh, you're going to hate me when we live together because I just want to clean everything all the
Hmm.
time." Like that's just naturally how I am. I really like to have a clear space. Like I can't even go and properly relax on the couch after dinner until I've cleaned up the kitchen, like fully cleaned, scrubbed the sinks, put everything away. Like everything needs to be clean. That's just naturally how I am. So I always say to you like I hope you don't get offended by that I'm constantly going to be wanting to pick things up or I might want things to look a certain way because I think it's like I said it's therapeutic for me and it just keeps my mental clear. Like that's just how I naturally am.
It's all good for me. I hit the jackpot. Because, like, not to say I'm like sloppy and all that stuff. It's just, hey, if my wife or my fiance or my partner wants to do this, go ahead. I'll go. I'll do it with you. And it's
Yeah.
great. Like you said to me before, like if your place is clean, you could think clearer, you can do more stuff, and you can move on to the next. If it's cluttered and messy, it's
Oh
just
my
too
gosh, that's
much.
my nightmare.
It's just too much to look
Yeah.
at. Your mind is not clear. You
Yeah.
can't do your work properly. So
Mm.
I totally get it. So yeah, I hit the jackpot.
Yeah. So with acts of service, I think it's all about doing things for your partner that they
Mm-hmm.
may not necessarily ask you to do.
Right.
So if they are aware of the fact that, oh, he's washed the dishes, I don't even have to ask him to do that, or oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, he filled my car up, so I don't have to go do it tomorrow.
Right.
To them, that's making them feel special because it lets them know that you probably would have done that with the thought of them in mind,
Yeah.
like knowing that okay, this is something that's going to make them feel good, it's going to make them feel special, it's going to make them feel loved, so I am going to do this for them. So while it may not necessarily be your own personal love language, the fact that you choose to do that
Mm-hmm.
speaks volumes because it's all about like catering to the other person, right? So yeah, like I said, doing little things for them, whether it be stuff around the house, running errands, helping with the kids, like giving them time to go do their own thing while you take care of the kids or whatever it may be. And in long distance, I know some people are like, well, I can't do that in long distance. How am I
Mm-hmm.
supposed to like wash dishes for them and do laundry, fill up their car with gas? But I think for me, my way of showing acts of service to you is through helping you with stuff. Like if I
For
know there's
sure.
something you need to find an answer to, or you need
Mm-hmm.
help with completing a task or research or whatever it may be, a lot of the time I'll be on that and you don't even have to ask me to do it. Like
I
if I
know.
hear you say something, I'm like, okay, hold up. Let me. All right, so this is what you got to do. This is how. Like I naturally am a very catering person. And I think that's how,
Mm-hmm.
for us being long distance, that's how I show acts of service to you.
For me, I remember showing. I remember one time, even the way I got your phone number. Remember, I told you
Yeah.
I need to wake you up,
Yeah.
or it's just every day. When I need to get up or when she needs to get up, we still call each other. We still, set our alarms, and we are each other's alarm clock. So
Pretty
even with
much,
that,
yeah.
we call each other to wake each other up, because whether we plan something that early that day or just in every single day, we pretty much wake each other up. And she
Yeah.
would be like the first one I would love to wake up to anyway. So if she was here, it would be the same thing. So
Yeah.
that's one thing I know we do, naturally and every day.
Yeah. I think also another way for long distance couples to provide acts of service are like if I were to send you something that's going to help you throughout your day. For example, like if I if I know you're super busy with work
Mm-hmm.
and I were to send you like a Uber Eats or a Postmates or
Mm.
something like that. So that's like providing that service.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people may think of that as gift giving, but if it's in the sense where I know that you might be like super busy, you got a lot of things to do,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, oh, here, I took care of this aspect for you. To me, that's providing an act of service, is like doing
I
like a Uber Eats type
absolutely.
thing. Yeah.
For another thing, I know we haven't lived together yet, but one thing I have a pet peeve of like dirty shoes. Like I'd like to keep my shoes clean all the
Yeah.
time.
Hmm.
So like I know for anyone that would live with me, I would. You don't even have to ask me. Like you said, you like cleaning. I like
Mm.
cleaning shoes. Like if
Yes,
I
I
see that your shoes
remember.
is dirty, or if
Hmm.
there's scuff mark, anything, I'll just clean it, because
Yeah.
I just want your shoes to be preserved and look presentable.
Yeah, I
So
remember last time, well, the times that you visited here at the end of the day, even if we came home at 10 p.m., you'd be sitting like in the chair, like cleaning my shoes. I'm like, what are you doing? And you just want to like quickly give them like a wipe over before you
hmm
put them away because that's just how you are. Or even if I'm about to put them on, you'll be like, give me that for a sec. Like, let me just fix it
right.
because that's just naturally what you do. So, yeah, I think in terms of conflict resolution or things to avoid, yeah, definitely doing stuff for them is going to make them feel special and make them
Mm-hmm.
feel loved. And another thing I think is really important, say for example, if you've had an argument about like, oh, I feel like you don't do enough of this for me. I think what people with that acts of service love language would really hold in high regard is being kept accountable for what you say you're going to do.
Mm, right.
So following through with things that you've said that you will do or that you
Right.
will not do or that you will change, following through with completing tasks that you've said you're going to do. So for example, if I say to you like, oh babe, I'm going to fill up the car with gas tomorrow, like don't worry about it, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get to the car and you're like, damn, like she didn't do it, because you had that expectation that I had said like I'm going to do it, but I
Right.
didn't follow through with that. In your mind you may feel like, oh, she said she was going to, but she didn't follow through. So I think it's all about integrity and accountability.
Mm-hmm.
If you say you're going to do something, if you say you're going to show up on time, if you say you're going to, you know, do anything, it's all about having the integrity to keep your word.
Right. I agree.
So now moving on to gift giving or gift receiving.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first time, like for me personally, when I heard that this was a love language, naturally my thought was like, oh, that's materialistic.
Right.
But
I thought the
it
same thing.
really, yeah, it actually isn't. It isn't necessarily about being materialistic in that sense. Like for somebody who has, like for us, we can't really relate because gift giving is a 0% for both of us. Not that we don't like love and appreciate that. Of course we do. Would you
We
agree?
definitely do. I
Yeah.
mean, countless things that we've bought each other like within the years, and
Mm.
the good thing is like sometimes she doesn't she doesn't expect it. So that's the best part of it. Like I remember one time, for months we've been looking for this the New Balance sneakers, right?
Yes. And I
And
was telling you that I couldn't find them over here, and if you could see them like over
hmm
there, like let me know because I want to buy them and get
hmm
them like sent to me, like ship them to myself.
right.
Yeah.
And then one time you saw it on the website, just browsing, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow, it's available in Australia. For me, initially, I'm like, number one, it's shoes. First of all, like, I I wouldn't
You already
like
know.
I don't even know how many shoes I bought over the years, but like when it comes to shoes, I'm like, okay, well, if it's available there, I'm gonna go get it. Because
Yeah.
for me, it's a hassle to buy it here and ship it because it's expensive. I'm like literally
Mm-hmm.
paying another $80
Double.
on top of everything that I paid for already. So
Mm-hmm.
the moment she told me it's available in Australia, and it's they can ship it locally, I did it like kind of behind her back when she told me, "Oh, what?" I asked you like, "What website was it?" So I went there and saw it, purchased it, and then I told you, I'm like, "Oh, by the way, I got you this,"
Yeah, and I was
because
like,
again, that color
no.
we couldn't get. I still haven't seen that color here. So
Neither have I. And I
yeah,
actually went to the mall the other day just to kind of go and see, like, oh, I
hmm
wonder if they have it, like, in the stores. They don't.
right,
And it's so crazy because after you told me you bought it, and I was like,
hmm
babe, like, why did you do that? I checked and it was already out of
it
stock.
was done.
So,
Like your size was
yeah.
gone and it was
Mm,
sold out. So it was
mm.
actually I was so happy I was able to get it at that time because again, if I would have waited and procrastinated like the next day, it would have been gone. She wouldn't have known, but for me, I would have felt really bad because it's something that I want to
Oh,
give her. And like
yeah.
again, we don't hold gift giving like heavily in our relationship, but we do it. We do it a lot actually.
Yeah, I think for both of us, we don't hold receiving gifts. Like I don't need
Hmm
to receive gifts from you to feel loved because for me, I would rather words of affirmation. I would rather you
right.
tell me how you feel. That means more to me than receiving a gift. That's just
hmm
naturally how I am. But for people who do want to be showered with gifts, I think it's not just like, oh, like buy me everything. I need you to buy me a bag and
hmm
shoes and a car and like for,
A
but
Birkin.
come on. But it's not just about the actual material thing itself. I think what comes with that is the idea of like, oh, my partner was thinking of me
Right.
and they got this for me as a token to show that, or this is
hmm
a token of their appreciation for me or our relationship or whatever.
hmm
It's not necessarily like, oh, buy me that bag, buy me those shoes because I need that. Like, it's more so about the fact that they feel appreciated because they know that their partner thought of them and put in the time and the effort to
Right.
get them something. So I think, yeah, naturally ways to show it would be to buy them things, like give them things that you may know that they've been keeping their eye on, or
Mm-hmm.
things that they might have been like, hey babe, like this looks really cute. I know we spoke about this in our like one of our previous episodes,
Right.
is that you can't always try be hinting things, but sometimes if you know that that's your partner's love language, you may need to take that into accountability and kind of keep it into the back of your head and be like, okay, I know that they said they thought this was really cute, maybe that's something I could get them. So yeah, that's obviously the number one thing that comes to mind when you think about like gift giving. But I think it doesn't have to be something extravagant.
No. You know what?
Mm.
One thing that I just remembered, and it's not extravagant, but I'd say, you're very sentimental. So, like, I know what means a lot to you. So, I
Mm-hmm.
remember, like, after we watched Mandalorian, for like the whole, like,
Yes.
three, was it 3 seasons?
Was there three
And
seasons?
I think so, or 2 or 3.
I
I
can't
totally forgot.
remember.
But you would go to the mall and look at like Grogu, like all the stuffed animal and like the Funko Pops. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember there's one specific one that you wanted, and it wasn't
Yes.
available in your area.
Yeah. Mm.
So naturally for me, and I shop a lot online anyways.
Yeah.
I typed in, Funko Pop, Grogu, or Baby Yoda, or whatever, or your
Yeah.
child, and I put Australia, and I saw it. It was available, I think, either in Melbourne or Sydney.
Like on a
It was just
website.
some. If it's within the country, I'm gonna go purchase it, so I don't have to ship it, from here. So when I
Yeah.
saw it was available, I just told you something was coming, and you got it, and you got the package that
I
one day.
cried.
And it's, again, it's not extravagant, but it's,
No.
you love Grogu, and I know you do, and I know that Funko Pop wasn't available in your area. So when I saw it
Yeah.
online, immediately I was like, you know what? It's like it was it was less than $20.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. But I'm definitely sentimental in the sense like
hmm,
I may not necessarily like I love giving. I'm the same as you, right? If I want something, I'm just going to go buy it myself. Like I'm not
right,
going to wait on
hmm,
somebody to buy me something because I've always been brought up or I've always had that feeling of like, well, I can't wait for somebody to do something for me or get me something. Like I got to go
exactly,
get it myself. But I'm definitely sentimental in the sense that I like to make you things,
hmm,
and I think that's where like my creativity kind
yep,
of, yep, that's where my creativity and my words of affirmation kind of flow together to become one. Is like, when I get sentimental with it and I make you things like, remember that mug that I
the
made
mug,
you?
yep.
Or the
The mug is
scrapbook.
the mug was great because honestly, I've never drank that much. Like, I've never used one mug so much. And after
Mm,
you gave me that mug, I remember like, this is probably the most used mug I've ever used in my life.
yeah,
And it's not it's because it's from
that's
you, and
great.
then I just started using it automatically. I just started using it every day.
Mm,
And then, like you said, the scrapbook. The scrapbook was really big. Like, I went through that recently with my daughter, and she was
mm,
like seeing all the things that we went through. And the scrapbook was great, and it's so sentimental because it was all our first time.
yeah,
So it was really nice. Our first time going to New York. Everything you experienced, it was all in
yeah.
that book.
Yeah, so I don't think it's necessarily, like we said earlier, about buying like expensive,
Mm-hmm.
extravagant gifts. It could even be like, yeah, DIYing something, making them something sentimental, or even like something as simple as like on your way home from work,
Mm-hmm.
buying them, I don't know. The first thing that came to mind was a donut. Like a
Hey,
donut
I'd appreciate a
or
donut. I definitely appreciate a
or
donut. I love
or
sweets,
like
so
right, me too. We both love our sweets, definitely.
you give me a
I
donut,
love
I
that we
have a
have that in
smile in my
common.
face when you walk
Right.
in.
Or like I don't know, like a bunch of flowers or a
Hmm.
coffee, like because those are little things that don't cost much,
Yeah.
but they're going to make your partner's
Hmm.
day because it's gonna make them feel like, oh my gosh, like they were thinking of me. Like they
Right.
and it makes them feel special.
Hmm.
So I think tiny things like that, like a bunch of flowers, guys, guys, girls, it's not that expensive.
It's
You go
not.
to like the grocery store, you get a real cute bunch of flowers for like less than $10. Maybe like 10 to 15 if you want to get kind of more
It's
extravagant
still
with it.
cheap. I mean, it's
It
less than
is,
20
and it
bucks.
like costs nothing. And I know some people may think logically like, well, that's gonna die anyway. Yes, it is, but the thing that it provides in that moment of when you see that smile on your partner's face, and it's like, it doesn't matter if it's going to die. It's something that you're gifting them and they appreciate it and makes them feel loved and appreciated. So, yeah, I know like people in the past who I've spoken to, they've been like, well, I ain't going to buy a flower. Like, that's going to die. But it's not about that. It's about like the sentimental feeling that comes behind like
Right.
giving them that and putting that smile on their face. So, yeah, it doesn't always have to be something expensive, something extravagant. It can be something as little as that. But
Or a
something
donut.
as a donut,
A
a
donut.
whole box, or a box of donuts that you guys could share together.
Right. Exactly.
Yes. So, yeah, there's that. But I think also something that comes to mind is making something special of like special occasions, like
Mm.
birthdays, anniversaries, that kind of thing. I think they would definitely appreciate that as well as like, because it's not necessarily like, oh, you got to make a big deal out of it, but it's the fact that you're showing that you want to, and it also again makes them feel like you are thinking of them, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes them feel loved and appreciated in that sense. So yeah, those are just a couple of things. Oh, also LDR, long distance relationship wise, obviously sending packages.
Right.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
I think what was great for us is that we had certain things in our country that you guys don't have, or it's really expensive.
Mm,
And there's a lot of things like the number one chocolate that I see you guys have is Cadbury, and we don't
yes.
have that. We have like 3 flavors here.
I know you.
So
I feel
when
so
you
sorry for you guys.
so you go to our aisle, it's really pitiful.
Yeah.
You look at it, I'm like, I
I
show her on
remember when you
FaceTime, and I'm like,
showed
look
me.
at how much Cadbury we have here. It's like 3 flavors.
Yeah, I remember when we went to Target for the
Yeah.
first time when I was over there, and you showed me like the chocolate aisle, and you had like three different flavors of Cadbury Dairy Milk, and they were thin. I was like, you guys are being like
Yep,
deprived
it
over here.
was
Like, why
thin.
is this so like small?
Right.
But yeah, it's things like that, and obviously conflict resolution. I think. I mean, I can only speak of what I think because I don't personally know. But I think after an argument, like if you know, give them flowers or a donut
Hmm.
or like something that's gonna like show that you're sorry or like just like a
After
little
this,
token.
after
Yeah.
this, I'm giving you a lot of donuts.
I know. I'm out here
every
dropping hints
time,
about
every
donuts.
time we argue or we do something, that we don't see eye to eye, I'm coming home with donuts.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Donuts, that's all we need. A box of donuts to share together. Yeah. So I think that's what I think of when it
Hmm.
comes to receiving gifts. Like we said, we don't hold that in high regard, but it doesn't mean, like for me, okay, I don't hold it in high regard in terms of receiving from you. However, I love giving to you. Like I
Exactly.
love giving you stuff. I love
Hmm.
buying you things. That's just how I am. Like I'm always thinking of like, yeah, what I can
Well,
give.
for me, I'm a product designer, so like I have no choice but to look at what's out there, what's the latest, and I like putting things together. So as soon as I see something for Lizelle, I just like automatically like when me and my daughter go shopping or we go to the mall, she points out, oh, this is gonna look nice on her, or I say,
Mm,
hey, this is gonna look nice on her. There's so many things that, or I take a picture for her and say, hey, this would look really nice. Sometimes I'll just buy it and I will ship it to her, and she doesn't even know. So
mm.
like little things like that, because I naturally, that's what I do for a living. So I
Yeah, I
appreciate
think
doing
that's
that.
why.
So I
Yeah.
love giving gifts that way. Again, I rather give than receive, but when I do receive, it's
Mm.
like, man, I'd take that donut any day. you know
Yeah, exactly. So I think the last love language to cover is quality time,
Yeah.
which is something that we definitely both hold in high regard,
Hmm.
especially being long distance. I think I said this earlier, but a lot of people who aren't in long distance relationships and can't really understand and appreciate the dynamic of how they work might be like, well, you can't do that. Like, Because I've experienced that before where I've said to someone, like, oh, I can't do this because I've already set that time aside or that date. I'm having a date night with my fiance.
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean? Like, how?
How?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, you don't know. Like, let me put you on game. Like,
Right.
there are ways to spend quality time with your partner without having to physically be present. And I think we're definitely a testament to that in the way that we operate, like, as a partnership and as a relationship. So obviously quality time, the first thing that you would hold high is giving the fact that your partner gives you their time and attention. I think that is number one.
Yep.
Setting aside, like, intentionally setting aside that time definitely is key.
Like you
'Cause
said,
I know
intention.
intentionally,
Intention is
yeah.
the word.
Yes, because I know there are times where we're spending time together because we're both so lucky and blessed that we have a schedule that allows us to spend a lot of time together. I know a lot of other long distance relationships couples aren't in that position where they're able to be on the phone whenever they want. They're able to contact each other whenever they want. But we're very lucky in that sense that we're able to. So we naturally spend a lot of time on the phone, on FaceTime.
Right.
But that isn't necessarily quality time
It's
because it's not specific time that we've set aside to be like, okay, let's spend this time together, because you might be doing your work, I might be doing my work, but we're on the phone with each other just to be within each other's presence. Does that
Right.
make sense? Yeah. So yeah, I think quality time is all about intentionally setting aside that time to give
Right.
your partner the love and attention that they want and, like, need.
I agree. I mean, and going back to just regular relationship, you have to set date nights. Make your partner feel
Yes.
special. Like, set up a time, intentionally set up a time. Hey, we're doing this. We're going out. We're eating here. We're watching this. We're going to the museum. We're going to a park.
Yeah.
Anything that you guys can do together. And it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't have to be extravagant. It could be a museum. You know, it could be something small. It could
It
be
could even be like
walking
a
down
walk
the
in the
street.
park.
Yeah, exactly. And those things, I love to do that. Those type of things, like walking the beach, you know.
Yeah.
But those are things that you can do if you guys are together. You know, you guys have the luxury of doing that. We don't.
Yes. But I think also sometimes in relationships when you're living together, especially if you're living together, it can get to the point where things become so routine. Like, you both come home from work at the end of the day.
You're both
You go,
tired.
yeah, you go do your thing. You might watch TV, Netflix, whatever, on the couch. And yes, you are in each other's physical presence. But I think quality time does relate to, as we said, like that intentional time that you set aside. Like, hey, can we do this on this day? Can we go here on this
Right.
day? Can we make an effort to do more of this? Because quality time isn't necessarily just being in each other's presence. It is about the whole name of it is like quality time
Right.
together.
Not quantity, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Quality.
Yes, exactly.
It's a big difference.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, provide, how to express that would be to provide like your focused and undivided attention. And I'm not
Undivided.
saying,
Yep.
yeah, I'm not saying like every single time you guys are together, you better be giving 100% of your attention because, you know, we got our own things to do. But if you have, for example, set out a date night, but you're over here like on your phone or trying to do work, that's not going to make your partner feel special and fulfilled in that time that you are spending together if you're over here like scrolling on Instagram doing your thing while you're meant to be having a romantic date night out with
Right.
them. Yeah. So I think, yeah, like we said, focused and undivided attention during that time. Date nights, obviously. I think another one, which I can't wait. Oh, wait, I'm not going to say I can't wait. I am so ready for this. Is like having like weekends away.
Oh, I can't wait for that either. I remind you all the time. Like, I can't
Yeah.
wait till we get together. There's just so much options, and there's so much more that we haven't done together. So I can't wait till we experience all those things.
Yeah, and obviously that's not something that you can do like all the time. There's like different factors that come into consideration, like time, energy, effort, budget, all of that. But if you
Right.
can set that aside, and not necessarily even for like a special occasion, like a birthday weekend away or
Mm-hmm.
anniversary weekend away, even if it's just like a, hey, we're gonna like put an effort to have a weekend away just because we
Right.
want to reconnect in that way. I think that definitely speaks volumes about putting an effort into wanting to spend quality time together.
Right.
Yeah, so like we said, unfocused, oh, not unfocused, unfocused attention, focused attention,
And
focused
undivided
and
attention.
undivided, that's it,
Right.
attention. Quality one-on-one time, of course. I know like when kids come into the picture, it's different,
Mm-hmm.
but even including them in that can contribute to quality time together. I know that's
Absolutely.
definitely something that we do with Miss Princess,
Mm-hmm.
is like
Yeah, we're
spending
definitely.
quality time together, the three of
Yeah,
us,
we
even
play
though it is like,
games. We watch.
yeah. So, yeah, we do that, huh? With her, we watch like
Yeah.
movies that she wants to watch, or we get on Netflix.
I remember, like, now she's of age of like where she's reading or she's learning math, and you can do flashcards with her, right?
Yes, I
And
remember
you would
that.
like
Yeah,
spell something on the whiteboard, and you will have her read it. So
yeah,
like even this having long distance, trust me, like we make it work. We
we
make
do.
it. We make anything work.
Yeah, if you, like the saying goes, if you want something bad enough, you're gonna do anything you can to make it
Right.
work. So, yeah, even though I can't physically be there with you guys and you guys can't physically be there, here with me right now,
Mm-hmm.
we do what we can with what we have, and I think we do a pretty damn good job of that.
For sure.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think another thing that would come with quality time is, yeah, like we just spoke about, like doing things together,
Mm-hmm.
doing activities together. And it doesn't have to be something extravagant like a date night, which is great too. We love a good date night. But I mean, as in cooking together, cleaning
Right.
together,
Cleaning.
doing
Cleaning.
goddamn
She
cleaning.
got so excited as soon as she said cleaning. She lights up.
Right. But even, yeah, like little things like that, like washing the car, like things that, like mundane tasks that you may not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily think of turning into a couple's activity, you can turn that into something that you do together, which becomes quality time spent together.
It's boring to do something for like if you wash a car by yourself, it's boring
Oh,
anyways. I'd
yeah, I
rather do
hate
it with
that.
you.
Mm.
And plus you get it done quicker. And
Yes.
it's fun. I mean, I remember growing up washing the car with my cousin and my brother. It was just fun for us to wash the cars in like the weekend or even rake the leaves or mow the lawn. It's so much fun. Even though you're doing something that's like a chore, but we made it fun
Yes.
for ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So doing things like that, I think, are very important. Like
Hmm.
turning those everyday mundane tasks into those little pockets of time where you choose to spend quality time together. Because quality time isn't necessarily like block off your whole calendar, like
Hmm.
block everything off, we're together. Like it could even just be like the 10 minutes of your day where you spend like, I don't know, washing the dishes, or like an
Right.
hour in the afternoon to go for a walk in the park or go and watch the sunset. Like you really can turn anything you want into that. I know it sounds corny, but like that romanticized quality,
Hmm.
not quality, that romanticized fantasy of what we see on social media. Because a lot of the times I'll see people commenting things like, "Oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I had this," and it's like
Hmm.
you can. It could be something as simple as, yeah, like we said, like the smallest everyday mundane task that you turn into something like romantic. As like
Hmm.
strange as that sounds, it really can be like that.
Well, one thing I know that isn't romantic, but for
Yeah.
me, I think it's quality time for me,
Mm.
is when we work out. Because again, it's
Yes.
one of those things that I personally, if I do it myself, trust me, I give up on myself so easily. I'm like, what? Screw that. I'm not doing every single exercise. Or I'll just take my time. But when I do it
Uh,
with you, it's like, number one, it's for my health and our health. And
yeah.
I know to me that I consider that quality time. It's not romantic, but I remember the first time we started doing it, we hated it. after a while, we're like, you know what? Actually, this isn't so bad. And
Yeah,
I'd rather do it
and
with you.
exactly, yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
I just love that time spent together because I'm the same. Like, I don't like working out,
Mm-hmm.
but I force myself to do it because I know it's good for me.
Right.
And the fact that we get to do it together, even if we aren't physically together, like, if anybody is wondering, like, what are you talking about? Like, how do you guys work out? We will get on a call and we'll pull up the same workout on our
Mm-hmm.
laptops and we'll follow that. So it's like we're doing the same activity at the same time.
Right.
And it just allows us to, yeah, keep each other accountable and also encourage and motivate each other,
Mm-hmm.
which is part of like bonding and strengthening like the quality of your relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I really do love that we put in the effort to do that together. Even
And
if it's
that's quality time for me, to be honest with you.
yeah,
It's not romantic. Like
definitely.
you said, that might not be romantic. Some people that love working out, to them, probably that is romantic to them.
Yeah.
But as much as that's like a one thing that you don't seem like, it doesn't seem like romantic to me, that
Mm.
I hold that, like, heavily in my life, because it's something I don't want to do by myself. So
Yeah. And as much as it's like an activity that we both initially we don't enjoy,
no.
but it's something that I look forward to and I actually genuinely get excited for because I
Mm-hmm.
know it's like my quality time with you. Like
Right.
I go to bed at night thinking like, "Oh, I get to spend time with you tomorrow working out." I'm not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I get to work out tomorrow."
Exactly.
It's more like, "Oh, I get to spend time with Alan like
Mm-hmm.
working out." So that's definitely a way long distance wise is obviously like to get on FaceTime calls and to call each other on the regular, but you can do activities together while being apart as well. So, yeah, I think conflict resolution wise, or like things to avoid in the aspect of quality time, is to avoid being on your phone when
Mm-hmm.
you're like together and you've decided like we're spending quality time together,
Right.
and also to not cancel uh,
Mm.
arrangements because I
Mm-hmm.
think if you're a person who looks forward to quality time and you kind of get your hopes up for that and then it gets cancelled last minute, you're going to feel naturally you would feel like let down and disappointed.
For
So if you can
sure.
avoid doing that to your partner, like canceling prior arrangements
Mm-hmm.
or agreements, that's obviously going to make them feel more special that you kept yourself accountable and had that integrity to stick with the plan.
Right.
And I think, of course, something to avoid would be like long stints without one on one time. Because if you leave it for too long, I think we spoke about this in our last episode, talking about what was our last episode about?
Oh, the
Oh, when
last
you get too comfortable.
comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. So if you leave things for a long time, you drift apart and then you end up on different paths and then it
Mm-hmm.
becomes more comfortable to just not put the effort in to spend quality time together.
Right.
So I think avoiding long periods of time without spending quality time together is definitely important.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just like actively listening and being present as well.
That's exactly what the next thing I was going to bring up. Being
Mm,
present. Having your present in there, and just being aware that you're there with them and doing things with them, because there's so many distractions that can happen, and you want to make sure you give them your undivided attention to them.
yes, yeah.
So those are the 5 love language that I've recently learned over, the time. And I mean, I think for me, it helped me a lot. So, and it just having constant reminder of like what's yours and what's important to you, it helps me. And again, it alleviates like all that guessing game of like, oh, what does she want? How does she want?
Mm, yeah.
Your how your partner want you to show your love language to them? You know.
Yeah. So if this is like the first time you've ever heard of all this stuff, I think the first thing would be to go and find out what your love language is. Go and
Mm-hmm.
take the quiz, like Google love languages. It should be like one of the first results that show up,
Right.
and you can take the quiz. It takes 5 minutes. Really find out what your primary love language is and learn about it so that you can understand exactly what it is that you want and desire. Because a lot of the time, for example, if you're asking me like what do you want, like what's wrong, like what's up with you, what's bothering you, and I don't know, it's going to be very
Mm-hmm.
difficult for you to help me with that, because if I don't know myself, you're not going to know. So I think it is
Absolutely.
very important to find out your own love language for yourself, and then you can of course encourage your partner. Like this
Mm-hmm.
could be an activity that you
Yeah,
guys
I was
do
just gonna say,
together.
make it fun.
Mm,
If you guys haven't done it yet, this is the first thing that you guys are getting into. It's a
yeah.
fun way to know how you would want to learn more about your partner.
Yes,
You know.
yeah. And like you said, it takes all the guesswork out of trying to figure out the way
Mm-hmm.
that your partner views love, how they accept and receive love. And it definitely does strengthen the bond of your relationship, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion. And like I said in the beginning, it really helps with conflict resolution because, yeah, we have different love languages, our rankings are different. So,
Mm-hmm.
what you may see as filling up my cup and fulfilling my needs, when in reality it's not, because
Yeah.
that's what you hold high,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the imbalance comes in, because you feel like you're doing the most, but in my mind I'm like, well, he's not doing anything. So that's why
Right.
it's really important to know your partner's love language, but also educate yourself on how to cater to that, because I know for you, words of affirmation isn't naturally your
Mm-hmm.
strong suit. You've said that to me many times, like that it definitely isn't
Absolutely.
something that you naturally gravitate towards. But I really love and appreciate you for taking the time to educate yourself on it, and
Mm-hmm.
also learning how, like, okay, how can I make her feel loved and appreciated? Even though I don't naturally do this, what can I do
Right.
to make her feel loved and appreciated with this love language? So, yeah, that is all the advice that we have on love languages today.
That's it. Hopefully,
Yeah.
you guys learned a lot. Again, for me, I have, and I'm still learning as we go along. And we just hope that you guys utilize all the tools, and hopefully, all any information we give you guys help.
Yeah, there is a ton of information
Mm-hmm.
online as well. Like I said, I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure, that this all stemmed from a book written
Mm-hmm.
back in 95 by Gary Chapman, but there is an abundance of information online on
Mm-hmm.
what love languages are and how to cater to certain love languages. So, yeah, I think it is very important to get educated, and it's not like a big task. It's something that you can incorporate into each other's lives on the
Mm-hmm.
daily with small acts. So, yeah, that is everything that we have to talk
That's
about
it.
today about love languages. We hope, like Alan said, we really hope that this helped some of you or gave you a different perspective or insight into maybe your own relationship or relationships around you. And yeah, that's about it. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to say, my love?
Yeah. If you are watching this on our YouTube channel and you've tried, doing the test on the comments below, please like share what it is, and
Yes, we
let's
would
see
love
what
that.
everyone's love language is, and
Hmm.
what how you rank on the other five. We would
Yes,
love to know.
for sure. Yeah, definitely comment down below if you're watching
Mm-hmm.
us on YouTube and let us know. But with that being said, we hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. Like always, thank you for spending part of your day with us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
thank you. Until next time, we shall see you on the next episode of the One Day Podcast. We out.
We out. Buy your partner a donut.
Yeah, I'm about to go buy a box of donuts right
I wish. I wish.
now.
I love it.